This really might be one of the single easiest reviews I've ever done, and I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. This new PET electroplated fiber, formerly known as titanium and commonly referred to as polyester, J3Ti from Honolulu Pickleball was pretty much everything I expected. And if you've hit any of Honolulu's Kevlar J3K or J3K Pro models, and you're familiar with the general trends we see between carbon fiber, Kevlar, and polyester paddles, you could probably predict how these paddles play too. The J3Ti is proved to be a plusher-feeling version of the J3K models, with a bit of extra sparkle from the PET fibers, and has excellent control with top-tier spin. The list price for the J3Ti is $155, and with the discount code PBMED, you can knock that price down to $139. I'll dive into more details as to why in a minute, but as a one-liner summary, I'll just say that for the right people, the price of $139 is going to be a very fair one. And I think those right people would probably be those who are looking for a solid, wide-body, control-oriented paddle, and for those who don't have a hard time generating their own power. In terms of construction and specs, the J3Ti is unique from most other wide-body paddles in that it has a surface layer of carbon fiber woven together with PET electroplated fibers, which basically means it's a subtype of polyester that has a metallic-looking dye, giving it a sparkly look and a more plush feel. I'll also say that the face surface of the J3Ti is one of the most textured, gritty-feeling surfaces I've felt to date, and when I let another player try it out and feel the face of the paddle, his response was, "I could literally sand drywall with this." This thermoformed wide-body paddle is 16 inches long by 8 inches wide, with a 16mm thickness and a more unique 6-inch long handle with a taper at the bottom of the paddle face, providing a little more usable room than the handles of other paddles like the 𝐋𝐢𝐳𝐬, the 𝐹, or the 11624 Monarch / Pegasus shape paddles. I'll throw the calculated and measured metrics on the screen here so you can pause and go over more slowly if you like, but overall, this is a paddle that's probably middle of the road in terms of swing weight, gross weight, and maneuverability ratings for a wide body paddle, equating to a paddle that's not too light but not too heavy in the hand, but it does have a very stable nature with a twist weight over 7 and a sweet spot that was very nice as well. Spin was solid with RPMs coming over 2,000, and drive speed was on the lower side, coming in just north of 54 miles per hour. During actual gameplay, the paddle seemed to perform pretty much exactly like I thought it would, and essentially the same as the measured numbers above would imply. The strength of the J3Ti really is control, and I felt like I could hit drops and dinks incredibly easy, and I could neutralize higher speed balls for good resets and digs. The long handle and the wide body shape of the paddle gave it great leverage, and I could turn it over pretty well to impart spin both at the net and from the baseline. As mentioned before, both pop and drive speed were lower on the J3Ti, and as I personally have been testing a lot of power and more aggressive all-court paddles these days, I did find myself having to work just a little bit harder to bring ball speed up for harder shots. Comparing the polyester J3Ti more directly to the Kevlar J3K and J3K Pro, both the J3K and J3K Pro paddles have a higher drive speed and a little more pop than the J3Ti, but the J3Ti is clearly more plush and softer feeling than both of those paddles and is better for control. One complaint I heard from people about the J3K models is that they could feel vibrations radiate through the handle from time to time, and while I didn't personally feel this was on the extreme side by any means, the vibrations are certainly less on the more plush J3Ti in comparison. It's not a paddle that completely shuts out vibrations such as paddles like the 𝐹 or the Black Ace 16, but vibrations were never anything that I noticed when I played with the J3Ti. The measured metrics are pretty comparable between the J3Ti and the J3K/J3K Pro models, and there's always a small margin of variation from the factory, but I'll say that when holding these three paddles in the hand, the J3Ti does feel subjectively lighter than the J3K, and even a little bit more subjectively light than the J3K Pro, which has a tighter Kevlar weave and less overall material than the typical J3K. Otherwise, the sweet spot is about the same between these three paddles, and the main takeaway is that both pop and power are higher with the Kevlar J3K and J3K Pro paddles, but the J3Ti is more plush feeling, is a little lighter in the hand, and is more control oriented. Some other pertinent comparisons might be the 16mm 𝐋𝐢𝐳𝐬, the 𝐹, and the Monarch / Pegasus paddles from 11624. Compared to the 16mm 𝐋𝐢𝐳𝐬, they both feel about the same in the hand in terms of weight perception, and they both have about the same level of pop and power, But the J3Ti is a little plusher feeling and comes in about $40 cheaper, while the Mach 2 Forza has slightly higher RPM recordings. Stacked against the Pulse V, the J3Ti is the cheaper option here, and it leans more clearly in the control category, while the Pulse V has higher drive speed on swings and has a bit more of that ball absorption and recoil type pop. The wide-body Monarch paddles by 11624, soon to take on the Pegasus name, have a little more pop than the J3Ti, have comparable size sweet spots, and are the only paddles of these three comparisons to have a slightly lower price than the J3Ti. But again, the J3Ti really just excels in control-oriented aspects and has a slightly more plush feel to it than the Monarch All Quartz. Overall, the J3Ti gave me no surprises whatsoever, and I think this paddle would be a great choice for people who want a control-oriented wide-body paddle that has good spin and an excellent size sweet spot. And though power on drives weren't non-existent, I would say this would probably not be a good choice for people who are looking for wide-body power or high level of pop. And that's my take on the new Honolulu J3Ti paddle. I hope the review was helpful. Like always, let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you here for the next one.